1.
Hello. So in this video today, I'm going to discuss a topic that is a little controversial. Now, not everybody is going to agree, but I think it's a pretty safe bet that a larger majority of movie watchers will agree to this. So let's begin. Can a book be faithfully turned into a movie?
Fight!
Yes, it can. It has been done. There are times where it's done really well. The key factors to yes, it can are basically this. Does the production have enough money to faithfully showcase what's in the book? Does the movie have the right actors for the role? Does the script follow the book to the letter? Now, of course, you will have exceptions to the rules. Very, very, very few exceptions. In fact, the only book that was better as a movie that I can think most people will agree is The Shining by Stephen King. Now, Stephen King hates the Kubrick version of The Shining because it was a lot darker, it was a lot crazier than what he put in his book. So much to the fact that Stephen King actually pushed to get a miniseries done of the book where it was a more faithful adaptation. I kind of wish he had made this effort with it, but granted, there are certain aspects we'll get into later, but the miniseries of The Shining did not go over very well. Nostalgia Critic has a full review where he showcases the miniseries, and there's probably a lot of other people on YouTube who have reviews up already about the miniseries. But the Stanley Kubrick version is pretty beloved by most everybody in the horror community that I know of. And I don't think if the miniseries follows the book to the letter, well, the Kubrick version, the Kubrick movie, is definitely a lot better. So that is one example right there of a time when you can have a movie that strays away from the original material. But here's the thing, and here's the most important thing. Yeah, Stephen King was not a fan of the Kubrick version, but from what I know, the Kubrick version is almost pretty spot on to the book. There is one major change with the ending that isn't in the book, but actually it is better, and I think Stephen King liked that one aspect more, that when they made the newest movie, Dr. Sleep, it was brought in. And Dr. Sleep was a book that was written by Stephen King. Now, I haven't read Dr. Sleep yet, but I've watched the movie, and I'm not sure if the hotel is brought into the book or if it's just in flashbacks, but the hotel not burning down is a pretty key point. That is the one example I have of when you can actually get away with not following the book to the exact letter. Although it does a pretty faithful job, in my opinion, of because I have read The Shining. And I've seen the Kubrick version. The only thing I haven't seen is the miniseries. Now, do I have an example of when the book is followed pretty spot on? And yes, I do. As I mentioned during the It review series, Harry Potter, the very first Harry Potter movie, is pretty much spot on to the book. There are a couple scenes that were cut for time. And because those scenes were cut and that was changed, some of those scenes were replaced later. For example, when the book first begins, we actually come across Vernon first. And he's hearing about Harry Potter, and he goes home and he talks to his wife about Harry Potter, and she's not even entirely sure that's the kid's name. But he kind of drops it. And we don't actually see Harry until the end of the chapter. Later on, when they're running from all the letters, there's a bit that was cut out from the book where there's a few extra places they stop, and everywhere they keep stopping, the letters keep popping up like a hotel. Then there is a scene in Diagon Alley where Harry is getting fitted for his robes, and he actually meets Malfoy. Not by name. The two of them don't exchange names. It's just he talks to Malfoy, and Malfoy is saying that he knows he's going to be a Slytherin. And Harry's like, he wants to be a Gryffindor. And I think there is a little bit where Malfoy says, you should hope you go into Slytherin, it's better than Gryffindor. But I haven't read the books in a little while, so I would probably have to redo that before I could say for sure. And in the future, I might just do that. I might do a continuing series where I compare the books to the movies. But moving on. Now, if you ask any Harry Potter fan, the first Harry Potter's great. Movie or book. Now, if you ask the same Harry Potter fan, which did you like more? The fourth movie or the fourth book? Goblet of Fire? They're going to go with the book every single time. Now, I understand they were getting longer at that point, and I've actually came to the point where I've said that, honestly, Warner Brothers was really stupid after the second movie, not splitting the movies up into two parts for every book. Because they could have made so much more money if they had a shorter movie, half of the movie going in the summer, and then half being released in the winter. That's two movies they would have had per year that definitely people would have paid to go see. And they could have left nothing out. So during my first It video, which the link will be above, I got a comment. And I'm not going to read the entire comment. I'm just going to highlight some points here. Where a friend of mine said, it's normally the goal to capture the essence of a story, but ultimately offer a different experience to the consumer. Okay, so yes and no. Because my thing is, and I think this goes for a lot of people who read the book, then go to see the movie. They're looking, ultimately, I'm telling you the truth, I think they're looking for a way to replace the book. So they could say, hey, I watched the movie. That's ultimately what I think people would love to do. Which, honestly, if you've seen the first Harry Potter movie, there's not really a big reason you have to read the book. Unless you want to read the book. Like I said, I'm not saying the movies have to keep every single scene. But we're going to get into what I think on that topic near the end. She also told me there is also the fact that different readers will have different opinions about what parts of the book were the most important and what should make it onto the screen. But that's just it. If you are making the movie exactly like the book, then everybody gets their favorite part. Nobody gets left out who enjoyed that book. The script writers have to decide how to distill those elements into something visual without losing the emotional impact each scene had in the book. This is why I always try to watch the movie through the lens of someone who hasn't read the book, even if I have. Comparing a book to a movie, the book will almost always win. Now, granted, okay? Yes, I understand that it kind of sets in stone an idea. Like, I'll keep using Harry Potter as an example. When you hear the name Harry Potter, you will think Daniel Radcliffe. When you hear Hagrid in your head, you're going to be thinking about the character played in the movie. Dumbledore, I guess, would be just chalk it up to you who was your favorite Dumbledore. Snape will always be Alan Rickman now. Whether you're reading the book or whether you're watching the movies, unless they come out with another series of Harry Potter where they remake all of the books, which honestly I wouldn't think would be a horrible idea at some point, like 5 years from now. Maybe if they did Harry Potter as a TV series or a Netflix series or something, and they followed the book to the letter, and each book was a season, that would be really good. Because then you can get a lot more. And you can leave everything in. She also said that books are always going to give the reader a deeper sense of immersion because the author can use all five senses as well as inner dialogue, whereas on screen you utilize imagery and only sound. Well, that is true. They cannot really bring to life the sense of smell. But there's really not much of a difference. Then this is where you can add in extra things. A character on screen holds their nose. Oh my god, stinks like a skunk in here. You know, you are telling the audience what the character is smelling through open dialogue. And people really do that, you know. Or you could have the movie have inner thoughts that are said aloud. The character's not moving their mouth, but you can hear the thoughts in the character's head. Or you could just make little gestures. The character holding their nose. Okay, apparently the room filled with blood and guts and gore and bodies must stink to high heaven. The character would naturally cover their nose because it reeks so badly in there. Or even not just, a bloody scene. Let's step out of horror. If there's a flooded sewer drain and all the sewer water came up in this person's basement and they went down into the basement, they're going to smell that rank sewer water in their basement. That would be enough to make most people cover their nose. You can do little things, and you save a lot of time. See, books take hours to read because as authors, we have to set the scene for you. We don't have those visual effects. We have to tell you what the room looks like. Some people overdo that. We have to tell you what kind of clothing they're putting on. Some people overdo that. And it takes you, the reader, a long time to read through that. Whereas in a movie, you're just watching and you're seeing what they see. So you don't actually have to waste as much time setting the scene because of the fact it's already a visual thing and they're saving time. So the little bit of time they're saving there can actually work out in the interest of the audience. Now, what do I think that they should keep or should lose when it comes to making a book into a movie? Well, I think that, in that comment that I was reading, she said that they have to keep the spirit of the book, basically. The idea of the book. And I've got another example here for this thing. I recently finished reading all three of the books in the Codename Villanelle Killing Eve stories, the actual books. And I have watched the TV show, all 3 seasons that are currently out. I don't know if it's getting more. But the books were nothing like the TV show. I mean, okay, you have a villain who's an assassin named Villanelle, and she's a crazy Russian girl. And you have this Asian. Honestly, I don't even remember if she's actually Asian. I think she's Asian in the book, but she's definitely English. And she's doing research and she's looking into finding Villanelle, but every single kill is different. Nothing is the same. Where season 3 ends is like the book, but everything in the show has been very different up to this point. And that, just the 3 seasons we got, cover like the first 2 parts of the book, but they're nothing like the book. Like I said, except for the character named Eve, who's the MI6 agent, and the character named Villanelle, who's the crazy female assassin from Russia. The books and the TV show are way different from each other. Yeah, characters have the same names, but some characters died really early on who are still alive in the freaking show. And it's just like, I like both the show and the book, but I actually like the show better. I mean, it's fine, but if we were going to there's still some stuff in the book I'd love to see, but we got none of it. And that's really sad. And I'm sure that anybody who's watching this, who has read a book and seen a movie of a book, can attest that, yes, this happens all the time. But here's the thing. The reason why people go, oh, the book was better, is because the book usually has better scenes, better setup. In it, the ending was so much better. Now, since I brought up it again, I'm going to say now what I think they should keep out. They should keep out things they cannot translate to the big screen. Things that are impossible to translate. Meaning, there's no audience in hell that's going to buy this. Take it, for example. At the end of the book, there's a child orgy, which, if you made it this far into the video and you've read it, I'm sure you've heard this at some point. If not, I'm sorry, but yes. There is a huge child orgy at the end. It's not like a crazy orgy. It's not like it's over-sexualized. But just the fact there is basically this event that happens, they can never put that in the movie. Ever. So leaving that part out, okay, fine. Replace it like the miniseries did, and I think the new movie did. Have them do a blood pact where they, do the slicing of the hand, sharing each other's blood. That's fine. That works out perfectly. I could buy that. That's the way they all stay connected through the years. But there's just so much that was done in the book that wasn't done in the new movies. There was so much that was done in the book that wasn't done in the miniseries or in the new movies. And like I said it during my part 2 video, it's like everything they took from the book for the miniseries, they took all the half the other stuff and did it in the movies. So somewhere between what the movies gave us and what the miniseries gave us, there is a good movie between them. There was none of the stuff with the pictures. There was none of the stuff with, like I said, Ben was not the one who was hung up in the book on the past of the town. It was all Mike. That's why Mike stays behind. Ben was actually the one who taught them how to build the dam, then taught them how to build the clubhouse, which becomes a major plot point later in the freaking book. And even in the miniseries, even in the freaking movies, that becomes a major plot point that Ben grew up to be an architect. But we got none of that setup in the first movie that they released of It. So that didn't even capture the spirit. Killing Eve does not capture the spirit of its book counterpart, except female assassin named Villanelle, chased by a MI6 agent named Eve, and the two fall in love. That's essentially what stays the same, aside from every other character name being the same at some point. But you get my point. There's so much stuff that's changed. It's like it's not like you're not even watching what you wanted to see. And if you know something is based off a book, then you know what you're going to expect going in. And when it doesn't follow that, you're like, of course this is garbage. None of that crap happened in the book. Where's the stuff that happened in the book? That's what I came to see. And yes, they are limited as to what they can and cannot do with a movie or a TV show versus a book. But even a book is limited because it does not have that power to show you visuals. And as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And there's billions of pictures in modern day movies. So that's my little rant. Can they do it? Yes, they can. I think in order for a company to fully make a great movie that does follow the book, I think they need to stick with the author if they have the author available, meaning if the author is still alive, and get the author's opinion. Because you know what? There might be something in the book that's missing. And this turning it into a movie is the author's chance to say, well, you know, when I was writing it, I wanted to have this scene, but I just wasn't sure that I had the space to really play with that. Let's add that into the script and we could shoot that scene for the movie, you know, and it might explain a little something. That's where they can make differences. That's the stuff they can add to be different from the book. Add in important content or take away unimportant content. But in the case of It, there's a reason the book is as long as it is. And it's not because, oh, you gotta make 2 movies, or 3 movies, or 4 movies. It's because there's so much. And if you're going to make it into a faithful adaptation, then just follow the book. That's what people are going to see. I didn't even care. I don't know if anyone noticed who's watched my It videos. I didn't care that the new movies were even in the 80s. The time era was not really a problem for me. It was the problem of they completely screwed up the characters and switched characters around for no reason, because when they got to movie 2, they put those characters back in their right place, and it's like, well, wait a minute, how did we get from putting character over on C to switching him back to A with no setup that he was already on spot A? It's like, you know, again, like I said, Mike was the historian, Ben was the architect, Bill was the writer. And there was really no setup to Bill being a writer, to Ben being an architect, to Mike being the historian. Yeah, you had set up that the Jewish kid was Jewish. Wow. You showcased a stereotype. And that was his only real character, was that he's Jewish. Because of what he does at the beginning or end when he gets his call. They also did a really good job at showcasing Eddie being a hypochondriac. So, I mean, at least they did that. Oh, and they showcased Butch being a bully. But again, you know, You only got about half of it right. Alright, so that is actually all the time I have for round 1 today. I will be uploading another video very shortly of round 2. I have so much to say on this topic, and so much to unpack and discuss with you. As I've said before, this is something that I'm very passionate about. So I do hope you'll come back and check out round 2 of this versus. So please, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts so far are on what I'm telling you. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to this channel and make sure to click the notification bell so you're notified as soon as a new video goes up. And I will talk to you next time.